Welcome to She Sells Radio, my friend. We are talking today about one of my favorite prosperity laws, which is the vacuum law of prosperity. And part of why I think this one is so fun is you get to go out a little bit in faith and practice releasing what no longer serves. You also get to really practice letting more flow into your life and releasing attachment to anything that is of a lower nature in your life. And one of the things I always joke with my clients about when they come into our programs and they start usually women start feeling up levels really fast. And oftentimes their clothing just doesn't feel like them anymore. Like what used to really feel great to them and make them feel good, they kind of go into their closet and they're like, oh, this just feels very uninspired. And I joke with the women in my programs, like, get prepared that you're probably going to cycle through multiple new closets over the course of the year because the person you were who was in alignment with those clothes is not going to be in alignment with them anymore. Now, clothing is just an example. It can be so many things. Sometimes it's relationships, sometimes it's client situations, sometimes it's careers. So this is not specifically about clothing, but it's just an example of how this works. And so the vacuum law of prosperity essentially states that the universe abhors a vacuum. And I want you to think about if you did want new clothes and your closet was already filled to the brim with all of your, maybe you were like a discount bargain hopper and you really had this desire to start wearing more designer wardrobe. But your closet was so full with all those discounted clothes. And this is no judgment on how you shop. Some people love it, some people don't. I'm just using an analogy. There wouldn't be any space for the new to come in. And that's what this law is about, is if we desire to create something new, if we desire to create something greater, if we desire to create something better, we must make space for the good to come in. And now here's where the faith part comes into play, is that that space has to be made first before the good can come in. Otherwise, there's no space for it to come into. It seems pretty logical and obvious when we think about this. However, our ego can get really attached to, these are my things, and what if I release them and nothing comes back? I promise you, if you make that space, it will not be long, my friend, before it is filled up again. And this has to do with your finances too. Sometimes there's a fear of, what if I release this money and invest in this thing? It will fill back up. It's how I'm going to talk more about the law of circulation in future episodes. If you work according with the laws and you know what's going on and you stay in the energy of circulation of this is coming back to me multiplied, it will come back. It must. It's just like if you take a bucket of water out of the ocean and you take it away, what happens? More just comes in to refill that spot, right? It's like you don't even notice it. That's how I want you to be thinking about this law of prosperity, is that when you create this vacuum in your life, more must come in to fill it in. And it ties in with a law that we talked about on a former episode about the law of sacrifice. And I'll probably do a whole episode on that because that one's really good. But we're always sacrificing something for something else. We can't be in two places at once, at least not according to normal rules. We can't be eating two different meals at the same time. When you get what I'm saying. So the law of sacrifice is about trading something of a lower nature for something of a higher nature. And so as you up level, you'll start to notice things that feel like a lower nature in your life that don't get you excited anymore. I mean, this is the whole Marie Kondoing life thing, right? I've actually never watched Marie Kondo once, which is, I don't know, am I the only one or are there any others out there like me? But we get the concept. So you'll note, this is just an example. This weekend, I looked at our living room and we had these pillows and this rug that had actually really excited me at one point. And they're only a few years old and they felt very new and very luxe and very beautiful when I first got them. And when I looked at them now, and it could just be like the space is different, but I think it's also I've grown and evolved as a person and my tastes have shifted, and what feels good to me now isn't what felt good to me then. And I was like, I got to get rid of this stuff. Like this is going. This is gone. So now in that example, I did go out same day and buy new rug, new pillow. I dragged Jason on a shopping trip with me. God bless the man. And we had fun and we updated everything. But I've done it with other things too, where you get rid of stuff first. You know, this earlier this year, I went on this huge purge of my closet. I've actually done it multiple times this year and just took out probably 75% of it. I used to be more of a quality over quantity type of girl, if I'm being honest. I'm so much more, no, excuse me, quantity over quality. Yes, I used to be more quantity over quality. I'm the opposite now. Way more quality over quantity. So I took out probably like 75% of what I had in there, gave it away for donation. And I didn't have an immediate like shopping trip to come in and fill it. But what's happened is over time, I'll find these like really beautiful wardrobe pieces or curated pieces that feel more in alignment for me. And there's space for them to come in. And it's a fun process of letting it come in. So it's not going to stay empty forever. I promise you, it will fill in, but you've got to make that space for it first. And we can do this in our careers and in our businesses too. You know, I've shared about this a little bit. I haven't gone into depth. I'll probably do a whole separate episode about it. But earlier this year, I released about 500,000 of contracted revenue that was contracted for this year, which trust, there was a huge part of me that felt very secure in that. And that's never where we want to go, is making money. Our clients are security, right? But it just wasn't in alignment. There were various things where it wasn't in alignment. And I released it pretty much all at once, which felt very uncomfortable for the part of me that likes to have security in a certain amount coming in every month and contracted every month. And it was a really powerful experiment in the vacuum law of prosperity. And what's happened as I did that is, was there a short period of time where it was me kind of like, "Ooh, okay, this feels uncomfortable." Yeah. But have incredible new clients, opportunities, yeah, and clients and opportunities that are so much more aligned with who I am, who I want to serve, how I want to feel in my client relationships. Have they come in tenfold? Yes. And so it's practicing that. You know, if I'm working with a client and they're like, oh, like this client is just sucking my soul dry, but I don't want to let them go because they make up so much of my revenue. I'm always like, you got to let it go. You got to let it go. You got to let it go, because right now they're taking up space that really ideal client could come in and fill. And we want the new to come in first, but that's not how it usually works. It's not how it works. You will be asked to go out in faith in some way, shape, or form, create that vacuum, and then allow your good to come in. So this is a really fun law to practice and to start using. And you can start as little as like clearing out the closet, clearing out something that doesn't light you up anymore, clear out junk in your life. Or maybe you're hearing this and you're like, you know what? I have been holding on to that client for so long and I made them God, but they do not feel good to me anymore. The relationship doesn't feel good to me anymore. I'm going to practice this. Go do it. Right? Listen to this, apply it where it's speaking to you. There's some part of you right now that's listening. And it's like, I know that thing I need to release. Your job, my friend, is to go release it and create that vacuum that can then be filled in with a thing of a higher nature. Now, the key with this is to keep the intention that you're filling this in with something of a higher nature, and you stay calibrated to that very, very strong intention of, my ideal client is coming in, this specific, you know, this amount of money is coming in, this new type of wardrobe is coming in. So you keep your focus there rather than on creating any sort of lack. You're golden. So I want to know what speaks to you with this. Let me know. I'm at Elyse Archer on all social. You can send me a DM. I always am so grateful when you share this with your friends and with your colleagues and help spread the message. So you can take a screenshot, tag me as well. What are you going to do with this law and how are you going to implement it? And of course, you can head on over to ElyseArcher.com for more information on our programs and our resources to help you create your most successful and abundant life. So I hope that has served you today, and I will see you on our next episode as we continue the series